Good morning. How are you doing, sir?
Very good. How are you?
Fantastic. My father would call your book a modern-day Western because he loved reading military books because he served in World War II, and he would read those books. He says, this is a Western. This is what I call a Western.
He is a good man and a smart man.
to bring this to life on the pages, I can't imagine how you got to search your soul and go into those areas of thought, and then because on this side of it, we're going, oh, my God.
I think to answer that question, most of it is all from my head. and I was far enough away, so to speak. I was with CIA for 26 years, and what I did the vast majority of my time there was protect the director of Central Intelligence, and there were 5 different ones over the course of the years. And then I had the directors. A lot of people don't realize DCIs, when they're doing what they're doing, they go abroad much more than people realize. Mm-hmm. And as a result of that, we made darn sure that he was well cared for physically, mentally, but most of all, that we didn't let anybody touch him, so to speak, physically and mentally. And the directors themselves are sharp as a whip and very kind in many respects. So that's kind of what I would describe that.
The book we're talking about is A True American Patriot. The circles that you draw inside this storyline. I love the way that it's like you're giving us an invitation to take a sneak peek at something that, like you said, we don't know, but you're teaching us as well as entertaining us.
That's very nice to hear. And some of it's humor along the way. Towards the second half or maybe the third quarter, I've made sure that I put in a certain amount of fun so people can not only look at and think about certain things that I've had in there, but they'll automatically pick up some of the humor, which I think is really important.
But what's great about it is, though, is that sometimes it's like inside humor. Other times it's one of those where it's like, wow, you have to stop and reread the paragraph because you're going, he did say that. He did say
Understood. That. That's great. I love it.
To make it a spy thriller, because we all love spies. And I don't know what the attraction is, except maybe it's just the mystique, the mystery of it all. And going basically undercover to try to figure out things before they happen.
Right. That's all correct. In fact, to give you an idea of the A True American Patriot, what I think about is terrorism is first at large, and that comes back at the end of the book too. Espionage is the way you just described exactly, and the U.S. military, as well as some different teams or portions with, say, Xi Jinping, and who does a good job of manipulating Kim Jong-un with North Korea. Mm-hmm. So, but this is all wrapped up in there, and it's makes it interesting, I think.
When you do a book like this, and it is a spy thriller, listeners need to understand that. That means, this is going to be a summer read. But do you still have to send it to the Pentagon for them to look over it so that you're not releasing anything?
Good question. And the answer to that is I don't do it at the Pentagon, even though I've been out of the agency now for quite a while. Anything I have that I'm producing goes right to the CIA, into a lot of electronic now, and the way it's looked at. And so, for example, when I did about 5 months of it, so I sent it in, and at that time I had done 400 pages.
Wow!
And but I also learned that you got to let go of some of it. So I did do that. But when I sent it into them, within about 3 weeks, which believe it or not, was unbelievable that it wasn't going to be a full year. However, they got back and they said, you're good to go. We've looked at it all, and we're comfortable with it. And then later on, a few months after that, since I did put it back down to 333, then I got back to them again. I sent it back into them, and they looked at it. Took a little more time, be more specific, but they said, okay, you're good to go. And so that was very promising and very appreciated.
All right, writer to writer. I got to talk to you about those number of pages, because my last book was 356 and I had to sit down and take out a bunch of pages. How did you know in your heart what to drop? Because, man, come on, you put so much of your love and interest into those paragraphs.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think to answer your question, it has to do with the way I described it is don't relieve or don't move away the core.
Yeah.
So you have a certain portion where you're like, okay, that's good, and there's more there, but and as you go about that and you look at it and read it a little bit more, you start seeing that, okay, as long as I keep the core, that's what I work that hardest on in any particular, that you can do that and it's not going to hurt your system in any way.
Have you always been a writer? Or is it something that you said one day, oh man, this is too loud in my heart, I've got to sit down and try to figure this out?
I appreciate that. The answer is the U.S. military and the 125 U.S. military bases around the world. That's what got me started. And and when I was traveling, I mean, I've clearly and easily have done more countries than probably about 5 or 10 left. While each director, there was, we were traveling. People don't understand that, we get them in, we get them out, and certain locations, they're hot zones, and we're still getting them in or out. And they're brilliant, and they're people that really care about their countries. So having the ability to literally sit and think of a huge number of places that I've been. It was not necessarily at my call either, but that's been a big piece of it. That's why I think the terrorism, the North Korean stuff, the Xi Jinping and China, I know a lot of, and I've been to all of these. I'm not just saying, I watched on TV or I did this or that. I've had to do this. It was my job, and all of my colleagues that were as well. And so seeing troops that are only having about 3-4 hours a week to get things done and then continue the very next day, I thought of that, and I realized that we got very comfortable with that in terms of we'd go for the airplanes would be all not easy to pick.
Yeah.
And then when we were going 10 days, and there were about 4 countries we were going in and out of real quick. And then during that time frame, we were lucky if we had 3 hours during that time frame. So when I realized the military's been doing this, U.S. military's been doing this all the time, and their families and their children, it's hard. It's hard for them because they can't get to be back and then turn around and run back. And so I really felt for that, and I still do. And the fictional part, I think, helps me some.
Wow. The way that you describe going into country to country to country, it reminds me so much of a conversation I had with Elton John's tour manager, because they gave me the opportunity. Do you want to talk with Elton or do you want to talk to the tour manager? Keeping the tour manager in focus. That's what I wanted, was him, because he's got the stories. Because, I mean, I realized you were protecting somebody, but man, you had to have planning skills. You were on the ground. I mean, to me, you've got the better story.
And I think you have a very interesting and correct way of looking at it. And a lot of times the directors, they would just look at me saying, they're busy doing what they do. And a lot of that. And then, so when things got really tight and really hard, he would just look at me and each one of them, because it's just part. I'm a kid from the Bronx, by the way. I should mention that.
That says it all right there.
There you have it. And I became this person that, they said, no. And twice, this just to give you an idea, I've spent a lot of time with my family in different embassies around the world. And when I wasn't doing this, and 2 instances where the directors said, okay, go ahead, go with family and get, and do it over there in Japan, or do it over here in the Middle East, and et cetera, et cetera. And in 2 different instances of about 6 or 7 different countries, and the embassies that I was in of those, 2 different instances where the 2 different DCIs, the one was there for 2 years and the other one was there for 3 years. They both called me on the phone where everything had to be done very carefully with the information, right? And what the information was, the bosses independently, but the boss at each time said to me, so how's everything going? I said, good. I said, my family's, it's nice to have that. And he said, okay, you got to come back.
Yep.
And so I thought, okay, well, then I'll come back, as told. And then I can tell them some things that I think they would be happy with. And the team that was working would do better. And what I actually found is when I basically sat down, that was it. I wasn't going to go out anywhere else but where the director was. So it's that has a lot to do with being in so many different countries.
To be a fly on the wall in the way that when you got off that phone call and you went back into your family, your eyes meeting your wife's eyes, I would love to see that moment, because she would have to know in a split second that something was going down.
That's absolutely, especially I think it was yes, the answer is exactly that. And she, fortunately, the children were still young at that time. So that, but it's been an experience, no doubt about it. And to the extent that the portion that you described, and the once I retired from the agency, that's 26 years, I opened up a very small, tight company that I pulled in a lot of Navy SEALs, Green Berets, and these are people that just finished leaving the service. Wow. And so I had them for about 10 to 12 years, where we worked on different CEOs and their families around the world.
Wow.
But mostly, and that was a very telling experience, because it went very similar in ways, and then in other times very different. But did that for about 12 years, and
wow,
interesting.
Now that you've released the spy thriller, A True American Patriot, do you look at the world differently as a writer now, in the way that you've got North Korea that is sending weapons to the Soviet or to Russia, and then you've got South Korea that's sending weapons to Ukraine? Are they not in essence in war, North and South Korea, when they do that kind of stuff? Because as a thriller writer like that, I would sit there, I'd put spies on the ground in all the countries, but do you see the world differently like that, where it's like, oh, there's a story here, I'm gonna make it?
Yeah, I think that's both are correct, and some of it in my own little world. Many portions of it are just things that came to me.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds a little bit strange, but when I'm doing, it's the same old thing of where you sit down and you're just not in that day, and you sit there and you and you're thinking, can I get a word out, please? And then the portions where you sit down and all of a sudden you forgot it's Tuesday when you stepped in on Sunday. That kind of thing.
Oh, so, I have those moments as a writer where it's like, when it's not coming out, I just go, God, this is yours. Okay, I'm only here as a tool. You take over, you do what you need to do, but man, you got to move me.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah. And that's very good, because it lets you know that it's sort of part of what we've accomplished. The other part is just sheer people trying to help you, and it's just interesting. And I'll give you an example since we're chatting. One would be that I already have a second one in play. Nice. I haven't put it out yet, but I probably have maybe about 50 or 100 lines. But I raised, because one of the people who was in touch with me and helping me through this, she had said to me in the very beginning, she had seen like a chapter or two, and she said, okay, she said, you're going to be able to do this. This is very good. And I said, well, this back like 2.5 years ago. And she said to me, I want to say one thing to you. I said, sure. I thought by this time you'll be crumbling it up and throwing it in the garbage can. And she said, you're not going to just do one book. You're going to do a trilogy.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
And I said, why would you think that? And she said, because you can do it. And that's why. And so between you and I and probably no one else that really cares at the moment, the one that'll be right behind this one is going to be different, but a younger version, in a matter of speaking. So that's kind of how I'm moving it. And then the third one, which I know this sounds strange, but the third one that I haven't done anything on yet is sitting inside of my brain. And I don't have a big brain.
I always look at it as that, like when you do like a trilogy, that the story itself is still in the tree. It just hasn't become paper yet, but it's there and it's making its way to you.
Yeah, very good, very good. She at a point in time back when she had said to me, she said, why wouldn't you do this? And I said, well, I just don't know if I have anything in there. And she said, oh, it's in there. She said, you just got to make up your mind of whether you're going to let it out or not. She said, it's already in there based on your experience and your life. And that was interesting because it kind of made me think about it. And I thought, okay, I'll give it a shot.
Does your writing discipline include taking long walks or meditating? Because as writers, in reality, you're taking from your body, which creates that emptiness. You've got to fill it with something.
Yes. And that's a very good way to describe it. For myself, again, it's a little bit similar to what you had mentioned. It just came there, there'd be bad days and be good days. But when good days kicked in, I would go just walking just to clear your head, sort of,
Yep.
and then you go back, and when you're ready to sit down and do it, you're more prepared for that, So, but a lot of it is been surprising to me.
Now that you're getting these books out of trilogy, my main question as a writer is how are you going to protect yourself from these AIs who seem to be stealing the styles from writers like yourself? There's got to be a way that's going to protect you so that a computer is not going to recreate you.
Right, I hear you, and that is exactly what's going on. But the piece that you're referring to is exactly right. At the same time. And I believe that what we're having now with the AI, and it's you can see some of it if you have any value, anybody. But I think that they are withholding so that no one chops it all up into nothing. Mm-hmm. They're doing the exact opposite. They're saying, well, we can show you this, we can show you that. Once they've done that, you start realizing that they can do a hell of a lot more than just the AI that we're seeing on the TV or radios, And I thought, this is going to be quite interesting. And but the flip side of that, from my little world, is the possibility of World War III, the possibility of China, Russia. Those increments compared to the AI, China is smart enough to go ahead and build those quick. We are too. Yeah. But my own experience is that it's both of those are being moved quickly and continuously because the future has to do with a lot of the technology and a lot of our people, including ourselves, maybe. You're going to have to really have it almost like verbally finished in your head before you even sit down. So that's kind of, interesting, right?
Well, in spirit, my father was sitting right here with us, and I'm sure he's in his own way telling you, thank you for writing this modern day Western for him because he loves this kind of stuff.
That's outstanding, and I please tell him the best.
Absolutely. You be brilliant today, okay, sir?
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure chatting with you.